Hi folks, in this video you will receive tips to improve semen parameters and eventually your fertility. I will tell you what to do and what to eat, and there are also a couple of no-goes if you want optimal results. Thank you for tuning into UroChannel, where you will get first-hand medical information on men's health, urology and sexology. Please subscribe now and never miss out again on new content. Okay, now here's your goal. You want at least 15 million sperm cells per milliliter ejaculate and 39 million sperm cells per ejaculate. Then you live in the safety zone and will be able to father a child without any problems. However, just a reminder, to make a baby it takes two. So it is the combination of both partners that counts. If one partner is not that super fertile, but the other one is, then limitations can be compensated for. I mean, you know that from your own observation, right? Like, what happens in those super fertile couples where both partners have top parameters? It seems they just look at each other and she's pregnant again. So here is what you should do to optimize your fertility. A recent meta-analysis on several agents to improve sperm quality came to the conclusion that Coenzyme Q10 ingestion improved sperm concentration, sperm motility, and morphology. The dose used was 200 milligrams daily in 3 of the studies included and 300 milligrams in one study. Coenzyme Q10 or CoQ10 can be found in all cells of your body because it is used for energy production. The body can synthesize it naturally, but as we age, the levels of CoQ10 decrease. Natural sources of CoQ10 are nuts, fish, and meat. The other thing about CoQ10 is that it is a powerful antioxidant. For the body to function normally, countless chemical reactions take place all the time. As a byproduct, so-called free radicals are formed, which put a lot of stress on the cells of the body, so-called oxidative stress. I don't want to go too much in detail here, as free radicals are not as harmful as you might think and actually serve a purpose. For example, when looking into the effects of physical training on the body. But as a rule, you don't want too much of them because in theory, they are also able to damage sperm cells. And even here, free radicals have some benefits as they, among others, control sperm maturation, capacitation, the acrosome reaction. However, I think you see where this is going. Antioxidants may help with sperm parameters. Here's another one, L-Carnitine and Acetyl-L-Carnitine, which in studies was able to show a significant positive impact upon progressive sperm motility. In other words, the sperm cells became faster. As you might remember from my video on how to do a sperm analysis, there are basically 3 categories of sperm cells: progressive, mobile but staying at one spot, and immobile. Vitamin C and vitamin E are equally important antioxidants which protect from the damaging effect of free radicals. There is also evidence that zinc alone or in combination with folic acid improves sperm parameters effectively. In a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial, this combination improved the overall sperm count in subfertile men by 74%, even if it didn't become clear how this effect came about. In Germany, there are special formulations on the market which combine antioxidants in one pill, like this one. I'm not getting paid or have any benefits from showing this, by the way. I'm sure there are similar supplements in pharmacies all over the planet. This is what you can do pharmacologically. What doctors can do is improve sperm production itself via testosterone and follicle stimulating hormone, FSH. First of all, testosterone is needed for spermatogenesis, but, and this is an important point, it is endogenous testosterone that the body will produce by itself. Any exogenous testosterone, in other words, gels, injections, etc., will have the opposite effect and turn down sperm formation. So how is endogenous testosterone elevated? For example, by blocking the conversion of testosterone into estrogens. which is done in the fatty tissues of the body by an enzyme called aromatase. This is done by anti-estrogens like tamoxifen. In cases of low testosterone, human chorionic gonadotropin, also called HCG, is able to restore the body's own testosterone production. Also, injections with follicle stimulating hormone FSH will directly stimulate spermatogenesis. FSH is a hormone which is released from the pituitary gland, which is a small gland in the brain. It is needed for sperm cell production in the testicles. However, there is a catch. Even if all these tips help to improve semen quality, it is still unclear whether these findings directly translate into increased pregnancy rates. And at the end of the day, this is what most people want. And there is yet another very important aspect. All of what I've just outlined is worth nothing if you sabotage yourself by lifestyle habits that are an absolute no-go when it comes to fertility. Smoking is enormously harmful to your sperm. It even says so on the outside of the pack. Same goes for recreative drugs. These days, cannabis is getting legalized in many countries around the globe and is increasingly prescribed by doctors for medical reasons. However, there is evidence out there suggesting a negative effect upon male fertility. The same applies for other substances like cocaine, opioids, and methamphetamines. I just mentioned exogenous testosterone. In other words, doping with anabolic steroids likewise is a fertility killer. And I might sound like a broken record here, but try to implement a healthy lifestyle and avoid becoming overweight or obese, because increased body fat means more aromatase, and more aromatase translates into more estrogens and less testosterone, with a negative impact on fertility. What about mobile phones? This is still a matter of debate, but there has been research in the lab with smartphones put next to a container with semen to find out what happens. At least in the lab, a detrimental effect on sperm quality could be demonstrated. What this means to sperm production in the testicles, I don't know, because in vitro studies don't necessarily translate into real life. But it might be a good idea to keep your smartphone away from your testicles. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.